the occasion of World Pride, the Brooklyn Borough President's Office is honoring several members of Brooklyn's LGBT community for their contributions. Joining us today to talk about LGBT and POC-owned businesses and the importance of safe nightlife spaces are two of the honorees. James Saunders is a longtime businessman and promoter. Welcome to 112BK.
Oh, thank you.
And Andre Springer, a.k.a. Shaquanda Coca Mulatta, is a performer and entrepreneur. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about the awards that you guys are receiving. We'll start with you, James.
Oh, well, it was a surprise to me, so I just found out this just yesterday. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just trying to still absorb it.
And you're getting the Vanguard Award.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Do you know?
I guess for all the work I've done in the community over the years. I've been doing this 35 plus years, and I've been part of the LGBT people of color community, and it's been a job.
And Andre, talk to me about the award that you're receiving and why you are being recognized.
This is like as honoring being a queer person of color with a business and providing visibility on the shelves of food and supermarkets and markets across the state. So, yeah.
That's right, because in addition to being a performer, you are also a small business food entrepreneur.
Yes, that's
Tell me a
correct.
little bit about Shaquanda Hot Pepper Sauce.
Yes. So that was it was first realized in 2015. Simon Lee asked me to perform at Bushwick, which at the time was held in Bushwick, and I told him, let me get back to you on what exactly I'm going to do. And with my friend that I met in college, Dominic Mondavi, we've made like different fun posters, T-shirts, and different kind of art-related projects. And food has always been on the horizon for me because I've worked in restaurants as a waiter or a bartender. And I returned Simon's call, and I told him that I would do it if I was allowed to do it in people's mouths. So it was like a kind of kitschy joke,
Right.
And then that's how Shaquanda's Hot Sauce was born. And people really loved it. And, I was like, oh, I should try this and see if this works. And it became something more. And, following the years, I realized that I was actually doing like a legit business. I was like, oh, snap.
And it's a hot sauce that's an homage to your grandmother. Is that right?
Yeah, it's an homage to my grandma. It's an homage to the women that I grew up with, that I look up to. It's all of those things. It kind of encapsulates my experience and my culinary experience in Brooklyn.
And tell me about how you incorporate this hot sauce into your act when you're performing.
Oh, so I used to do the clubs, host parties with Lady Fag and do things at the Chelsea Hotel and Metropolitan in Brooklyn. I sort of moved away from the performance space of a nightclub and into the markets. So farmers markets, where it is sort of I'm activating spaces with a queer identity.
And when you're at a farmer's market, are you in drag?
It depends. It really depends how hot the day is and
very practical.
What the exposure is, how I'm feeling with the environment, because I think being present in drag is just as important, being present as myself and what I'm trying to get out or what I'm trying to learn or who I'm trying to reach in that environment.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you used to perform at parties and queer nights.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we're probably of the same generation. I sort of came up in an era where it was, motherfucker and lady fag and now poppy juice and bubble tea. And that is a real divergence from an earlier generation where there would be actual bars and clubs that were serving communities of color, gay communities of color. Do you feel like with the number of successful parties that are currently catering to queer people of color, do you still feel that there's a need for dedicated bars and clubs?
Yeah, of course. It's an anchor. And, I love traveling parties and I love the idea of spaces being activated. But there is something to be said about having a home base and a place that you can go to.
Place you can go on a Tuesday.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Andre, I want to ask you another question about your hot sauce. So you are wearing a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your decision to brand your hot sauce with your drag character? do some people say to you, oh, like, why wouldn't you just create branding that isn't so in your face, that, is more accessible to all sorts of people, whether or not they...
I say fuck that.
Talk to me more about that.
Well, I think, as a Black person in this country, we are always looked at through a very specific lens. And that lens can be harmful, and it's like also stops us from doing things and claiming what is rightfully ours, how we're able to express ourselves, and then how careful we have to be, or tiptoe and on eggshells. And my little sister has a name with apostrophe in it. That's Tamisha. Hi, Tamisha. And when I see or think of something that I'm creating that's authentically me, I have to authentically present it as such. And so, which is, my drag name, and it always was going to be a drag sauce. I just think that for people that find it offensive, they don't know the right history, and they should be asking different questions. If, for example, I was to create, or someone else was to create a corn masa or some sort of indigenous type of food, and depending on where that person is from, I think it's inappropriate to use the image of someone's grandparent or some other culture that's not theirs. Sure, you can create this, you can do this and sell it, but why do you need to choose the face of someone else?
Right. Well, and I'm thinking that this stands in stark contrast to the legacy of Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's and all of these, old-timey Southern mammy characters that were created by white people to sell their brand of syrup or rice. And this feels like it is authentically you, because that's literally your face.
Yeah.
Also, you've got $1 million smile, so you should put that on all of your branding. As people are out celebrating, marching in the American Express sponsored parade, whatever, what are some things that you want them to keep in mind? What's one thing that you want them to keep in mind?
This is world pride, but it should be world pride. If it's world pride, it should be for everybody. Everyone should have a piece of the pie, and the pie, we talk about money, and piece of that to do what we need to do in order to empower our communities at large. Unfortunately, world pride came into existence without reaching out to, I think, and people, black and brown people, in the way they should be able to see that everyone's getting a piece of it. All of a sudden this Borough Pride came out, and all of a sudden everybody's got all this money, and next thing you know, you got these big productions going on. Although I'm doing something that weekend as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a viable space in Brooklyn. I already had locked into Manhattan already, but I'm doing it on June 29th, 2019 at the Taylor House. That's on 35th and 8th Avenue. And I also do boat rides around town. I do a boat ride in August out in New York City. It's August 17th, the Black Pride Ride. But outside that, I think if they reach out to everyone that has been doing something in the community. If it's supposed to be 50 years of Pride, they should reach out to more people than they did, and not just have a select group they're dealing with, and then you talking about $125 for an event.
Sure.
There's okay, that's interesting. Who's going to pay $125 for an event that's brown and black, black and brown, and that's going to get that money is going to go back to that community to do something for them.
Yep. Andre?
Where's my invitation for the food parties?
Yes, very true, right?
Yeah. I'm always curious, how people are invited to things, and I consider myself pretty visible in the community, within the food community and the LGBTQ community as well. So, I'm just curious how the chain of command works, or, the same sort of where's the outreach? And I think, and maybe I don't want to speak for you as well, but I feel like we're oftentimes blaming ourselves, we didn't do enough, but I think we do as much, or if not more. Yeah. And, I'm what's up with that? Where's our?
And then this call to action, should be put out there also. We should support each other when it comes to anything that comes out. Black and brown people need to know that we're out there, and we need to get support in order for it to be more visible in other people's eyes, you know. And I mean, it's not that blinded, just that they don't want to see us if they have no noise coming from the community to say that, you know, you need to reach out to us too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So you have this party coming up on June 29th at the Taylor House.
Right.
And plug your hot sauce. Where can people buy it?
Yeah. Well, I have a stockist on my website, which is shaquandawillfeedyou.com. You can also just Google Drag Queen Hot Sauce or Shaquanda Hot Sauce and it'll pop up. You can check me out on Hot Ones this season on YouTube. And if you're interested in having a taste, without purchasing the bottle first, you can always go to Leila Alimentari in Williamsburg or the Fat Radish in downtown Manhattan.
Also, before you close, this is Black Pride Boat Ride on August 17, 2019. My website is eventandtravel.com. Also, you can hit me on James Saunders on Facebook and get information.
All right. James, Andre, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.